1047 The Drop is Community Corner. Okay, today's guest is on the phone with us. We are privileged to have this person on the phone to talk about something that I think you probably don't even think about.
Well, you feel it.
You feel it. Energy is everything. We are on the phone with Dr. Swathi. She is known to audiences as an award-winning healthcare professional recognized for her trailblazing work at the forefront of personalized medicine and healthcare innovation. Good morning, Dr. Swathi.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
It is our pleasure. Okay, we're going to talk about energy today and why energy, I guess, is more than your diet. It's more important than your diet?
Yeah, I think energy is one of the key components to really living a healthy, happy, full life. So yeah, happy to dive into it.
Okay, so when we think about energy, I'm one of those people that I feel like I can feel other people's energy, you know. Sometimes people can even see energy sometime around you. You know, that's a different conversation, but feeling energy. What is it about that, you know, when you come across people when you can feel either if it's off or it's not in a good place or it seems negative? What is that like, I guess from a medical standpoint, what is that we're actually feeling?
Yeah, so vibes are actually just everyday language for energy frequency. So when you're feeling like something is off or when you're like around other people, like even like negative people, you know, you can generally feel it. And that's because everything, whether it's you, me, you know, your phone or even your morning coffee, all of these things emit measurable vibrations. And science can capture these vibrations with tools like spectroscopy. So when you're talking about vibes or talking about energy, there really is science behind it.
So your vibes are, it's like a real thing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. What are the kind of things that can affect your energy?
Oh, yeah. So there's so many things that can kind of throw your energy out of sync. So the first one is stress. So if you feel like constantly like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on in your life and you need to try to keep it all aligned. So that's the first thing. The next thing could be a lack of sleep, or maybe you're sleeping, but you're not getting great quality sleep. Another one is too much screen time, like especially in this day and age, you know, we have our phones, our computers, TVs, all these screens. So even having too much screen time can throw off our energy. Another one is staying indoors too long. So maybe we're not getting outside and getting that fresh air. And then another one is the one I mentioned earlier about surrounding yourself with negative people.
And speaking of that, you like getting outdoors more and things like that. You kind of talked a little bit about the season and the changing of the season and how that can throw off your mood, like around Halloween, around fall and winter. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. So as the seasons are changing in particular, that also influences, you know, the way that we feel. And I think in particular, when the weather starts to get a little bit colder, we get a little more hesitant to go outside maybe as much as we used to, particularly in the summer, right? So I think that part of why our energy feels out of sync is not only the season change, but the fact that we're staying indoors even longer. And all of that together can really start throwing us off.
Dr. Swathi, I remember some time ago going to a doctor and he asked me specifically, was I stressed? And I said to him, no, because I didn't feel stress. Can you explain what that means, or for anyone out there listening, you know, signs that they can listen for or feel about being stressed? Because we think that we're not, because we're in the rut of every day doing what we do. What does it mean to be stressed and to feel that in your body?
Yeah, great question. So there are so many ways where we actually are stressed, but we might not, you know, necessarily feel mentally stressed, but then our body is letting us know, okay, you're actually a little bit stressed. So the first one is, you know, if you're feeling drained, no matter how much you're sleeping or how much you're resting, like you feel like you're sleeping all night or you're sleeping for a portion of the night, but you actually wake up exhausted still. So that's the first one. The next one is that you feel like you're getting sick more often. Again, this also speaks to the temperature change and the season change. If you feel like you're, you know, getting sick more often or you're developing a cold, things like that. The next thing is, you know, the fact that you're noticing more mood swings. So if you feel like more moody or more irritable, then that could also kind of demonstrate that your energy field is off or that you're stressed.
How can you, because I do think too, it's kind of hard to tune into what your body is telling you sometimes. Do you have any like thoughts or tips of how we can really start listening to our bodies better?
Yeah, so I think one of the simplest ways is to start. I know journaling has such a context, but I think one of the ways that we can is just to start thinking about, okay, when we wake up in the morning, are we feeling a little more stressed? Like, as in, are we feeling like we're waking up and we're not feeling rested? And just starting to take note of those things. Or are we actually making time, even if it's a few moments for ourselves throughout the day? Just starting to take notice. It's a lot simpler than we think, and we don't necessarily need to go to and see a healthcare provider every single time, because we can kind of empower ourselves to notice when things are off or different.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Dr. Swathi, integrative pharmacist. We're talking about energy and how you can tune it, I guess, for your life and how you're moving and how you're feeling energies. What are some ways that we can tune ourselves? Some other ways, a lot of people say movement or exercise or meditation. What are some of those things that would be helpful for our listeners out there?
Yeah, so you can influence your energy daily with simple habits that cost nothing. So you actually just mentioned one. So movement is one of them. Movement could be as simple as stretching, or even just starting with taking a walk around the block to release stuck energy. So it doesn't have to be some sort of fancy or hour-long HIIT workout class or something. It can really start small. And then, of course, you can build up over time to incorporate more moments of movement throughout the day. The next one is deep, slow breathing. So breathing can actually reset our nervous system. This could be through meditation, but again, meditation doesn't have to be something complex with a beautiful, setup and incense and all of those things. It could just be those few moments as you're waiting in line at the grocery store to check out, or those few moments as you're stopped at a red light to take that deep breath and hold it for 4 seconds and then release it. And just a few of those elements and incorporating them into your daily life can really help. And then the other one that's also science-backed is sunlight exposure. So that has been shown to recharge your body's natural rhythms. So, if you want to kill two birds with one stone, go outside in the sunshine for a walk around the block, and that's a great way to start.
I really appreciate this because you make this sound so real life. I think sometimes when we talk about energy, people think of like that girl that thinks that she's a witch and has like crystals, you know what I mean? But
Right.
This is like really very practical stuff that you can do every day and integrate into your life really easily to help make your day-to-day a little bit better. So yeah, I just appreciate that and you sort of breaking down energy-based wellness. What do you think is like the future of the field?
I think we're headed towards what I like to call frequency first health. And so I'm very passionate about personalized medicine and thinking about each particular person individually and tailoring their experience and their entire kind of regimen associated with their lifestyle. And I think a part of what we're not talking about yet, and I think we will be talking about a lot more in the future, is how energy actually really does play a role in addition with blood work and supplements and prescriptions and all of these things together. And, a lot of research and innovation to investigating what they called Quantum Ayurveda, which is Quantum Ayurveda is pretty much taking energy and putting it into the discussion of lifestyle and diet and herbs all together.
Got it. One last question, Dr. Swathi, before we get out of here. As you're a person being a doctor and giving advice for people and our listeners, thank you for your time today. How do you personally balance, these things that you've talked about, tuning your body and taking deep breaths and movements and all of that? Being, I don't know if you're a mother or if you're a parent, and all of our listeners out here who have all these things that are happening in life. They're inundated with life, and sometimes they don't stop to just think, how can they move forward to just take that step to having better energy and energy wellness, as Lamali said? What do they do, and how are you doing with that?
Yeah, so I use all the strategies that I mentioned today. I try to incorporate movement when I can. Sometimes if I have meetings and I have 4 minutes between a meeting, I'll take a walk around my apartment if I can't get outside. So those little moments of movement, and also, whether it's at drop-off in the morning for your children, or as I mentioned, waiting in line to check out at the grocery store, taking those few little moments really do add up over time. So even if you think, oh my gosh, I only have 30 seconds, I only have 2 minutes, then utilize those few moments that you have. And if you start, dispersing them throughout the week, then they really will add up. And I think that you will feel better.
Yes, indeed. Your energy walks into the room before you do. Remember that. Yes. Dr. Swathi, thank you so much for your time and your information. This is, I think, very important for our listeners, and I think they will gravitate towards it. Thank you for your time today. We appreciate you talking with Lamali and I for Community Corner. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.